today. We have Pearl Salome. Pearl Salome is going to be talking to us this morning about nutrition for your pocket.
A very key conversation, you know. So in as much as we want to live very healthily, in as much as we want to, you know, sometimes being healthy can be expensive.
Well, yes, it can, because you know when you think of the sauerkraut and the cauliflower and
you know the shrimp, you
know,
know,
those
the
things
fish,
you want to
the
go
seafood.
and buy, you're like,
yeah, but it's quite expensive, you know. And now the increase in food prices, you know,
all across board, really, the prices have gone up.
You know, I mean, it's global. There's a global issue. So wherever you are, I mean, we are paying extra for food.
How do we do this? Nutrition for your pocket in
because
these
around this time, gobe is the safest,
I
you know,
right?
because you eat gobe like 5 cedis and you are good to go for the whole day.
But these days, even the gobe crown, I say,
no, they say even gobe crumple is like 8 cedis, 10 cedis. Now gobe 8 cedis, then I wonder how Greek salad will be costing.
Well, Pearl is here with us, and we're going to have this conversation. She is a registered nutritionist as well. Well, Pearl, good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
It's good to have you here. It's been a while.
Good to be here. Yeah, good to be here.
Yeah, I think the last time I had a conversation with you, COVID was raging.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thankfully now the restrictions have been, you know, lifted and all that. But how have you been? How have you been?
I'm good.
Yeah?
I've been good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about nutrition. In these times when the prices are going up and we all know that we want to live healthy,
very important.
reduce the midriff, you know, and all of that, but it's not easy.
Our pockets are not allowing us.
How are we going to do this?
Well, good morning to our viewers all over the world. It's an interesting topic, you know. We all agree that the economy is not so friendly to us, but life has to go on, right? So we have to find a way of adapting to the new reality. So I heard Frema saying cauliflower.
Yeah.
How do we manage our pockets with all these interesting things that we want to? So I just want our viewers to start bringing our minds back home.
Okay.
Right. We have a lot of nutritious indigenous foods that we have thrown away for some time now. Our children don't even know what makes us Ghanaian.
Okay.
I think being a Ghanaian, apart from what you wear and all that, food is one.
Name.
Yes. Food is one thing that would identify your origin or where you're coming from.
True.
And so it's time we start looking within. We start looking down there, what our grandparents used to eat, which are way cheaper. Fortunately for us, which are way cheaper than what the exotic things that.
You know, because in the past, our grandparents probably had gardens, you know, growing a bit of tomatoes, a bit of garden eggs, a bit of pepper, you know, in our backyard. But today we are growing flowers, we are growing grass, you know, we are looking at aesthetics, beautification, and we are buying everything. So now you go to big supermarkets and you're buying yam in the air conditioners.
So it just tells us that we have to find a fine balance, right? We want to beautify our homes. So how about growing a bit of vegetables aside the flour?
Okay.
You know, something like kwensusa, turkey berries.
Yeah.
It's not that expensive.
No.
That can be used for various things. You can use it in soup. You can also use it in stews.
Yeah.
You see, so it's time we go back to our roots. A top is not something that you make that will be so expensive.
Yeah, but this is plantain.
So there are other options.
Okay.
You can use cocoyam, you can use potato for your etop, and it's still.
Would you say that seasonal plants, we should focus on those as well?
Yes,
you know, so that if the plantains are not in season and it's
maybe
expensive,
to yam.
then we go to maybe a different
Yeah,
yam
so
or
the
cocoyam.
first step to this is by the start of your week, you should plan how your week will look like.
Okay.
Because if you don't plan, then it becomes difficult. Whatever you find, you grab, no matter how expensive it is. But you can use your weekend to plan that, okay, Monday, I'll go for gobe, I'll go for kenke, I'll go for fanti kenke. Tuesday, I'm going for this or that. So we should start planning our weeks so that it gives you the opportunity to also look around and find the cheaper options. Luckily for us, every month, there's
Oh,
something
some
that is
bomb
in
over
season,
Hey,
right?
okay.
Every month, luckily for us, there's
Yeah.
something that is in season. It could be vegetables, it could be fruits.
Yeah.
So for example, in some months you can easily find bananas way cheaper. In some other months, watermelons are cheaper. So we'll have to find that fine balance of scouting and identifying which month we are and what foods are cheaper, so that you can still survive. I would say that if you look at it in the long term, eating healthy is not expensive, right? Because if you go for the junks and unfortunately you have an NCD, a non-communicable disease, you'll be paying twice, because you have to be paying the bills, your medical bills, and then also you're still paying for very expensive food, which is also driving you to unhealthy health states.
Okay, so for instance, I want to plan a healthy meal, you know, for the week. What should I be looking at? Breakfast, lunch, supper? What should I be looking at?
So for the week, and
Yeah.
it depends also on your work, right?
Yes.
Because sometimes we consume so much that our bodies don't really need.
Okay.
So if you are a
And
sedentary person,
other
Yeah, I
times, other
think-
times we are not eating enough, because it could also be because of your schedule.
because of your schedule,
Yeah.
yes. But I will always say again that if you want to base it on your schedule, your body can fail you, and that schedule you are looking at wouldn't even happen, because if
Okay.
you are sick, you can't turn up for work.
Yes.
So
You're right.
sometimes we need to prioritize a bit our health. Yes, the work schedule fine, but it wouldn't take you like 30 minutes to grab something to eat. So at the beginning of the week, you look at, well, you should also consider your pocket. What is available
So David has
for you.
eaten both fruits this morning. You know, it's
But I
okay,
didn't
right?
eat it alone.
No, but it's okay. I mean, you don't have to explain yourself. Don't worry.
we are
So
saying I
he
think
has
I ate
eaten
it
both
alone.
fruits this
So both
morning.
fruits, you could add
Yeah.
some granola to it.
Okay.
Yeah, we're trying to, we are
Okay.
talking about a fine balance here.
Complete meal.
A
yeah.
complete meal.
He
So-
didn't add anything to it. So can we start from the
But
both
I like
fruits?
creamy
So
plus.
don't worry, you don't
In
have to
my- in my
explain. Quite
coffee.
honestly, you don't
In my coffee.
you don't owe anybody else explanation. Ready already. So for it, can we start from, okay, so this morning he's had both fruits already, right? Can we plan the rest of the day?
So the rest of the day,
Yes.
in the afternoon, he could have his kinke, maybe fancy kinke,
Okay.
with some vegetable stew, with some pear. I think avocado is in season, so you could add
It is.
some avocado to it.
So this afternoon we are having rice and pork trotters. You know, so is it okay to add the avocado to it and we are good?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Because the rice is not going to pay for it. Yeah.
So, like I was saying, it depends on your schedule, and then also what you are engaged in. Like I said, people consume so much that their bodies don't use. It ends up storing, and then you are exposed to all sorts of non-communicable diseases,
Okay.
which is increasing, right? Unfortunately, every year we get about 40 million people globally dying, and now the age range is gradually reducing. You have 30-year-olds, 25-year-olds with high blood pressure, with
Wow.
stroke, you
Heart
know.
disease and all that.
So you are thinking about the food you eat, but then if you are in such a situation, you are also looking at your health expenses.
Okay.
Every month, it means that you have to set aside some money that you use probably to go for your refill for drugs. But that we have the opportunity to reverse some of these things
okay.
through the way we eat.
So if you've had like both fruit in the morning, you're having rice and stew in the afternoon, what should you be considering for supper?
For supper, again, if you're not going to be so active, you can have something very small, very light. It
Like-
could even be soup. It could even be some salad. It could be some fruit salad in the evening.
Okay.
You don't necessarily have to have a large meal if you are not going to be so active.
Okay.
Okay.
Talk to us about children growing up, and not through any fault of the children, but because parents feel as if you're a growing child, so eat. You are going to be a man. I want you to be a strong man, so eat. And the boys are the ones who suffer this the most. Mothers insist that the boy should eat a lot of
Eat a
food.
large meal.
Then they become adults who are they have large appetites. Meanwhile, their body doesn't need half of what they've eaten. How do we, in this situation, start reversing this thing so that we now don't feel as if we are starving ourselves or we are cheating ourselves of something good?
Okay. Interesting. So I met some adults a couple of weeks ago, and they were having discussions, and it was like, when they were small, they were denied of protein. So usually at home, when maybe during Christmas, father gets a large portion of the protein,
Drumstick,
and then the children get a very small
the bony
portion.
part.
Yeah.
Now you are an adult.
You
You're
can
earning
afford it.
so much, you can afford it. So why not compensate
Yeah.
and then eat back what's during childhood? And you see, when you continue doing that, it exposes you to certain disease conditions. Like I mentioned, you can easily develop a diabetes or hypertension out of some of those habits. For the children, like you were asking, sometimes it's the way the family, every family situation is different, right? In some families, every evening we have to get a Coke, a bottle of
Yeah.
Coke, a bottle of malt,
Yeah.
and some kebab,
Yeah.
you know, before we go to sleep.
What a terrible
So
way to live.
gradually, the children become used to that kind of pattern. And then you realize that in such homes, everybody is gaining so much weight, especially in the
midsection.
mid-session. By 18, this child is starting to have high blood pressure. We've had instances where 16-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds are coming in with high blood pressure.
Wow.
And we ask ourselves why? Because in the past, before you hear that somebody has a high blood pressure, they're almost turning 60 or 50 years. But now it's not the situation.
But you know, sometimes when you look at foods that we consider junk, it's very quick, you know, very easy to prepare.
Yeah.
You realize that sometimes our indigenous food takes time. If you are somebody who is always on the move, you don't have that much time, you know, to spare.
Yeah.
You mentioned turkey berries, you know, if you're preparing soup, it will take time. If you're preparing the abum, it takes time and all this. Are there local stuff, indigenous stuff that can also be quick grabs? Just that you
Yes.
just pick and you are
There are so
moving?
many of them.
Okay.
I'll tell you. That is why, again, planning needs to be put in place, right? If you want to eat gobe within the week, you don't expect that the morning where you are going to work, that's when
That's when
you are
you're
cooking
going
it.
to do gobe.
It has to be cooked at the weekend,
Okay.
and then put in small portions in your freezer, so that in the morning you know you are going to eat gobe. In the afternoon, you just put it in the fridge to thaw it, and then in the morning you just heat it up, and then you are good to go. About the turkey berries, you can buy some turkey berries in bulk, cook it, and then just bag it in small Ziploc bags and keep it in your freezer. Once you need it, you just pick one and you use. So I think there are ways around it, right? If we look at we look at it as complex and we keep going for the quick fix, the highly processed foods, which we'll say are empty calories, will end up having the NCDs, and they will pay double.
Wow. Pearl, listen, we need to have a conversation about how to measure calories. Okay.
Okay,
So this conversation needs to happen as soon as possible.
Definitely.
So we're definitely going to have you back.
Definitely.
But thank you very much for joining us this morning. How do people get in touch with you?
So I'm on Facebook at Pearl Ehonam Salome. On Instagram, I'm PearlCell1. On Twitter, I'm PearlCell1. So they can reach out. And then-
Awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic.